So I'm recording a second piece. Hopefully I can join these together, but this is still the review from two different quizzes. One quiz was before Thanksgiving. It was about solving for the measures of angles in figures that involve triangles. It also involves solving for the measures of angles in congruent triangles as well. Then I did a review, and I did a little bit of review on that in the other video. I also did a review of the quiz that I just started grading, which was regarding solving for angles in isosceles and equilateral triangles, and then solving for, I guess you could say, missing coordinates when you had a figure on a coordinate plane. So that's basically this right here is what I finished with. I forgot to do one piece of the video though, so I'm kind of doing part 2 here. This particular figure here. So when we are working with figures that are on a coordinate plane, we said that there were some things that we could determine just based on knowing certain concepts about triangles. So I'm going to kind of do all this review at once. If we had some ordered pairs on this particular coordinate plane triangle, so this would be, let's do this in red. Oh, I'm sorry, no. Let's do it. Yeah, red will work. So let's say this is my y-axis up here. This is my, let's go ahead and make it even better. So this is the x-axis down here. And then we said, if I know that I have drawn a line down the center of that triangle, and I would be given that the triangle itself is an isosceles triangle, somehow. It wouldn't necessarily have to be these two sides, but somehow it's an isosceles triangle. That allows me to conclude or prove or determine one specific thing. And it comes from a lot of other concepts that we learn, things like isosceles triangles, things like the fact that if I'm drawing a line straight down, that is a right angle right there with that green line. And I'm avoiding telling you exactly what you need to know, so that's why I'm kind of pausing, because I'm not going to give you the exact answer to the question on the quiz. So here's what you cannot do. Maybe I'll do it that way. A lot of you were saying that you could make a conclusion because you know that green line is a perpendicular bisector. You do not know that. I have not told you in this problem any information that say that's a perpendicular bisector. You can say it's perpendicular because if I'm drawing a line through the middle of the triangle to the x-axis, I'm going to draw it perpendicular. So that part's fine. That conclusion we'll say is good. You cannot tell me, though, that it is a bisector. You do not know this is the midpoint. Not at this point. You can prove that, but you can't just state immediately in your answer on the question that was on the quiz. You can't just state, oh, well, I know that this point is the midpoint, or anything related to that. Or you can't just state, I know the green line is a perpendicular bisector. We don't know that yet. All we know is this side is congruent to that side. That's all we know. The only thing you can state, whoops, did not mean to do that. The only thing you can state is if that's point A, that's point B, and that's point C, you can say AB is equal to or congruent to or whatever you want to say BC. That is it. Now, again, you can prove eventually that this point down here is the midpoint, but the question on the quiz, pretty much everybody jumped straight to the end conclusion that you can make, and you can't do that. When I ask you to explain something, you can't just jump straight to the end. You haven't proven that you can say that yet. And we did this in class. So that's why I was pretty strict on the grading. And again, I'm doing a review, so I'm going to still be strict on the grading. You have to prove to me everything that you can possibly prove in that triangle in order to basically get to the point that this is the midpoint down here. And that is, or was, I might change it on the retake, I don't know, but that is pretty much what you need to get to. But you can't just jump straight to that. I think maybe I already reviewed. So other things I can conclude, if I know point A is there, and I'm trying to figure out what are the X and Y values, I can say that the Y value is 0. Oh boy, what was that? I can say that's 0 because I know that point A is on the X-axis. Well, if I'm on the X-axis, then the Y value is 0. I could also say for point C, same thing is true. The Y value for point C is 0. If I gave you a value, and this is what the quiz was, you would need to be able to solve and figure out what the other points were again, but you have to be able to prove in one of the questions, not in all of them actually, but in one of the questions, you have to be able to prove why you can make certain statements. You can't jump straight to a statement though without proving that it's true, without stating other things before that. So again, kind of giving you a lot of information that should help you. All you can say is this side is congruent to that side, and you can say that this angle is 90 degrees. Outside of that, you gotta make other statements and work your way down to the fact that you think that is the midpoint, or that you can prove that that is the midpoint.